Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. In this video, I'm going to be talking about how to overcome burnout and stay motivated. I'll be going over the exact signs you need to see to discover if you're in burnout or not, and I'll also be covering the exact step-by-step method I use to get myself out of burnout. So let's get straight to the point. Firstly, you need to identify what burnout actually is and whether you're actually suffering from burnout or not. And let me firstly define what burnout means to me. So burnout means when you're doing work that you no longer feel fulfilled by and you're just doing it for the sake of doing it, but there's no passion, there's no enthusiasm, and you're just not putting in effort anymore like you used to before. Signs that you may be experiencing burnout currently include you actually not doing things that move you towards your goal. Instead, you may actually find yourself procrastinating a lot more by doing activities that don't impact a lot. By this, I mean you're just messing around, you're playing games, you may even be doing chores. It's essentially when you find yourself doing useless activities that don't move you towards your goal, that's a telltale sign that you may be in burnout. In addition, you may experience some physical signs as well, such as feeling more tired, you may have headaches, you may just feel a lack of energy during the day, and you may even feel low in mood. If you haven't had these kind of issues before but you're noticing them now, it might actually be best to accept that you're in a burnout state and actually take steps to recover rather than powering through and keep going on, because that's only going to make the situation worse. So if you do identify yourself having any of these signs, then the first step, as I said, is to acknowledge it. Only then can you take steps to actually overcome it. And how do you actually overcome burnout? Now I'll be going through the exact step-by-step method, what I use to get myself out of burnout. So firstly, you want to actually identify if there is a cause or a trigger which is making you feel this certain type of way. One of the most commonest triggers is actually stress. So realizing if you're feeling too stressed, then that's the first step. You may also realize that you're putting on too much for yourself to be able to handle, meaning you're working too much and you're not giving yourself enough of a break. You're demanding too much of yourself. And then when you're not meeting those expectations that you set yourself, that's when you feel disappointed and that's when you feel this kind of way. In addition, changing too many things at once, whether it's for the better or whether it's to try a new approach if something isn't working, if you're changing too many things at once, that might actually lead to overwhelm and you may not actually get most of those things done. That way, when you don't achieve everything, then you kind of feel like you've let yourself down. So instead, it's best to focus on just changing one thing at a time and slowly taking it from there. Now, if you can identify a cause to your burnout, such as stress or too many things at once or heavy workload, then you can reduce that or you can overcome that by doing the opposite. So if you're working too much, then you can work less. If you're changing too many things at once, then you can only change one thing at a time. If you're feeling stressed, you can take steps to actually de-stress, which I'll make another video about and possibly link it in the top there for you to check out. However, sometimes there might not actually be an easily identifiable cause as to why you are feeling burnout or this type of particular way. In that case, I suggest first taking time off to actually recover and doing activities that will actually reset yourself. So these includes things like meditating, going to the park, chilling with your friends, relaxing, going to the spa, having a massage, anything that makes you feel better, anything that feels good. And another thing I highly recommend is actually doing a dopamine fast. This is a way to actually reset yourself, and if you haven't heard of it before, then I've made a whole video on it, so you can check that out in the top there, and I'll also link it down in the description below. But essentially, it's a way of just resetting yourself of all sources of dopamine, that way that can actually clear your mind. So if you haven't heard of it or if you want to find out how exactly to do it, then make sure you check my video out at the end in a new tab. Essentially, the principle behind this is that your neurochemistry is not going to be right now, and so by doing a dopamine fast, you're essentially allowing yourself to kind of reset, and then that way you can start again and then allow your body to recover, allow your mind to recover, and then approach things from there. I actually recommend doing a dopamine fast and then a dopamine reloading. So once you've done the dopamine fast, you can bring back lots of sources of dopamine dopamine, such as by eating your favorite foods, doing things that you like, watching a movie, reading an audiobook, whatever it is. Now, the next thing you can do, which is actually very beneficial, is exercise. When you exercise, you release chemicals in your body called endorphins, which actually are feel-good hormones, and so it makes you feel better about yourself. Especially if you go on a very long run, at the end of the run, you might get that runner's high, as people like to call it. Whatever you enjoy, whether it's weightlifting, whether it's walking to the park, or whether it's just, jogging, running, whatever it is, a bit of exercise can actually help you kind of get your neurochemistry right and make you feel better as well. The next thing I recommend is actually socializing. Now, socializing with people can actually firstly help you get things off your chest if there's things that you want to talk about, and it's also a good way to actually connect with people, to de-stress, to have fun, and so that might actually help you if you're in a state of burnout. Another thing I highly recommend is actually journaling. Journaling is actually very, very impactful in the way that it lets you write down your thoughts. And the way I recommend doing it if you're feeling burnout is actually getting a piece of paper and doing it by hand. By putting pen and paper, it actually lets you release your thoughts, and the speed at which you're writing, just go naturally, don't go back, don't correct mistakes, just write whatever comes to your mind. That way you're letting your just mind flow, you're letting your thoughts spill out, and it's very useful to actually clear your mind. And if you haven't done this, and if you don't think this will help, just try it out. Just take 15 minutes, take a piece of paper, a blank piece of paper, write down everything that's on your mind, everything that's bothering you, everything that you're thinking about, and that way you'll actually realize you're moving all your thoughts into a physical format, and that will clear your mind. You'll actually feel the benefits immediately. In fact, by journaling, I've actually come up with solutions to problems that I had in my mind that I just kind of came up with as I was writing things along. It also helps you to feel a lot better. It also helps you to kind of magnify out of things and look at situations in a different perspective, because you're literally now looking at your thoughts rather than your thoughts just being jumbled in your mind. And so it's a very beneficial way of actually de-stressing and getting things out and clearing your mind. So as you could probably tell, clearing your mind is an essential part of recovering from burnout, so you can reset and start over again. And as I mentioned earlier, I highly recommend doing a dopamine fast, which you can check out in the corner over there. And also check out the other video that's linked over there. If you like this video, then make sure you give it a like. Make sure you subscribe if you're new to this channel and you're interested in self-development videos like this. With that being said, thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you again in my next video.